Um, so let's have the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would. Stand, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you very much. Okay, Martha, could you call the roll?
Sure. Mike Overby?
Here.
I'm here. Dave Hartson? Don?
I'm here.
Scott Schaefer? Vicky? Here. Mark?
Present.
And Ray?
No.
Okay. So we
We have
have 4 out of 7 plus you, Mike, so we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Finally. Okay, the agenda, as already mentioned, I assume everybody has a copy, has had a chance to review it. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda or to make changes?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's the agenda we'll be using. Next
Dave?
agenda item, go ahead.
Dave, is this you?
This is Dave.
Okay, I'm gonna leave you right here, okay?
So Dave's
Okay.
on.
I'm trying to get in, but it doesn't seem to want to connect me.
I don't know what to say, so I'll just leave him on the phone.
Hey,
Okay, so Mike, where were we?
Yes.
Okay, we're
Go
ready,
ahead.
Mike.
Okay, we're ready. Okay, so one of the agenda items we always have is anyone from the audience that is not on the committee would like to provide input to the committee or questions.
Nope,
Okay, no input. So next item, approval of the last meeting, which was on September 25th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of 9/22/25 meeting.
Okay, all
take
in
a
favor?
second.
okay, Dave said second,
All in
all
favor?
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, getting into this, and I'm hoping that we have, I can't see everybody in the audience, but I'm hoping we have some of our support employees there that will be making presentations, discussion items, leading a lot of these items. Is Captain Romo in the meeting?
Sure.
Okay. Any update on where we are, with Slash? It was suggested maybe going forward that because we are caught up and, really going into a period where it's not as critical an item as it has been, that maybe this type of agenda item, not be covered every meeting. But could you give us an update on where we stand now, Captain Romo?
Yeah, of course. Podium. Thanks. Yeah, so the camera can get you. So, for October, we had 878 yards of slash that was delivered to us. I think we have over 400 slash permits that were issued. And then we had about 235 yards that were picked up in October by Josh Candelaria. Special thanks to him. He's doing a good job out there. And all the guys, burning it and chipping it, getting rid of the slash problem here in Angel Park.
Okay. So
And
we're-
pretty much, other than that, end of report.
So going into the quote, winter season, we're in good shape. We don't have a big
Oh, yeah.
backlog there.
We have probably about 4 20-foot piles down in the pit, nothing behind Station 3. And we do have the ACI full of slash, but that's for an opacity test that we have to do and with the state. So we just need to schedule that, to do our annual compliance. But other than that, I think we're looking really good.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. Next agenda item, and we've had updates from Lindsay in the past, but I guess this will be maybe one of the final ones for the year. So if you could give us an update on your year-to-date DSO inspections, and whatever you have to talk about there.
Absolutely. So I'm proud to say, but also a little sad to say that I've only done 99 assessments. I really wanted to get to 100. I know. We got, I think with reassessments, it's at like 116. I have to double check that number to be for sure, and I'll get that for you. So we're over 100, but I'm not counting going back to other people's homes. Also, Romo has done 25 assessments as well. So we're over that 100 mark. I just really wanted to get there myself. Otherwise, everything's going good with that. I'm gonna deliver, I think, the last of those post-assessment materials here at the end of the week, beginning of next. And I think I have a couple more inquiries on getting an assessment, but pretty much I'll be done after those few, I'm assuming. Most people are kind of done with doing their work with the shoulder season and things like that. So it's getting into cold time. So just waiting for snow. But otherwise, all good.
Thank you,
So,
Lindsay.
so if somebody, submits a request, during the season, if you will, and there's no snow or something that would hinder you, are you still going to, or are you, going to move those out to the spring or summer?
More than likely, I think I'll probably move them out to the spring. If it's super, super urgent, I'll probably go out. But it's a little bit harder to do assessments when vegetation is not present as much. So I think it'll just kind of be case by case. We'll have to see.
Okay, very good. Hey, thank you. Next big item, Captain Romo is going to give us an update on our next steps to implement the Firewise program, become a Firewise certified community. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, so I think we've done everything, got the word out, and now I just have to work with the state, Colfax County, all our cooperators, the federal Forest Service. I know they're on furlough, but we want them to come out and kind of do a walkthrough of our community. That way they could see what we're dealing with and all that. And then I want to have apples to apples, not apples to oranges, that when I put my kind of experience, my knowledge, my kind of interpretation of everything on the form, I don't want them to say, well, I don't agree on that. I want it to be a unified decision with all of us in there. And that way, we could say, hey, we have the federal government here, the local and state government and municipal. And we're all coming up with a consensus. So, I think that'd be vital. And I think we talked about the week of the 15th. So probably,
Of November?
yeah.
Okay, I thought it was in
Yeah.
October and I thought I missed it.
Oh, no. Yeah, we postponed it.
Okay.
We had that burn going on and, some schedules, and that Black Lake, just give a report on that. We treated close to 400 acres over there. Merino Valley was there, and we're getting a lot of reports of smoke. I mean, there's gonna be smoke, there's gonna be
Yeah.
some interior burning and all that, but our guys are going out every day and mopping it up, securing the area, so it doesn't escape on us. And our names on there, they know we're the best, department, fire, department, in the area. Merino Valley backs us up, but we're paid and we have a lot more people to respond. So, they put us out there to really make sure everything's secure and I'm not gonna get out. We don't wanna be another statistic.
No,
We want a good
no.
statistic, which I think
Yes.
we created. And another piece of kind of information for everyone, I don't know if you were here around 2013 when we first burned that area. Man, there's community members were not happy. They were mad at us. There's a lot of questions, and then now, I mean, you hardly get any calls or you know, they had a community meeting here at your station. They have one participant. And that's not that there's not interest, that's like, I think their comfort level is like way up here. So,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, just wanted to share that with you.
So because of the furlough, you know, any dates on that audit or visit are just pending them getting back to work? Is there a date on the calendar, but it's just may not happen?
November 15th, I think.
Yeah, we're looking at the 15th of November, but I'll let everyone know, as soon as I hear back from the feds and the state.
Okay,
And Brian could go on behalf of
So that
Colfax
would-
County.
so that would be a one-day effort as far as you know, or do you even know what kind of schedule that could
Yeah,
include?
yeah, it'll be a one-day thing. Probably meet here at Village Hall, gavel together and head up and just look at some of our road accesses, our structure and accessibility, you know, all that good stuff that goes into the assessment.
I guess two questions, who should or who could attend that from our committee standpoint? Other than me, I'm sure the fire department would be there, but
Yeah, we opened it up to the public and then, of course, the fire adapted folks. You know, we just don't want a convoy of
can't.
people.
you're
So we
right.
might have to jump in a few vehicles, but we can make it happen.
Okay, I know I'll be back in town and would like to attend. I don't know if feedback you've had from anyone else. Anyone else on the committee?
We have a 15-passenger van we can use as well if we schedule it.
Okay. Okay, very good. Kind of regarding that, and this is discussion we started having last time on this, in that, you know, this is the way we're going with the FireWise framework. And that would be the content of the committee. And I know that there was feedback given for those attending that who wanted to continue on this new committee, and those that felt like because of their residence status and so forth that maybe they don't. But Chief Vance, have you gotten input on that, and what would be your input on us, you know, either officially establishing the new committee list?
Yeah, I first want to start off by saying thank you to this committee for everything that you've done up until this point. When I started about 14 months ago, I wasn't really sure of the direction of this committee. It took me a little while to get my feet on the ground, but with all the work that we've done, I think we're in a really good spot. I think the defensible space ordinance, getting that passed was really a real groundwork for starting everything that we're doing here on out. The phases that we have, when we've kind of lined out for future states, I think have really kind of set a clear path for where we are. It's my opinion that the Fire Adaptive Committee has really reached the benchmarks of what it was originally set out to do about 3 years ago. So my recommendation is that we would disband the Fire Adaptive Committee. And the reason behind that is because we have to have a Fire Adaptive Committee anyways, in order for us to continue.
Firewise.
Firewise Committee, thank you. So, Firewise Committee is mandatory for us to continue. There's a lot of overlap between Fire Adaptive and Firewise. And so we can continue on just a lot of the same principles, a lot of the same, objectives. So really it would be my recommendation that anybody that wanted to participate on that, we did a little bit of a survey. We have a mixed bag of who wants to stay on and who doesn't. But maybe we just kind of, first of all, complete the order of business of getting our good neighbor policy passed. I'd prefer that that be the last action of this committee. And then once we are able to hopefully get that passed, we can recommend that to council. And then from that point forward, just disband the Fire Adaptive Committee and then kind of vote for the members for the Firewise Committee. It would be my recommendation that we have a total of 5 on the new Firewise Committee. And then we have some representation from the fire department on that committee.
Got some jazz to that.
And my recommendation is, 2 from the fire department on the committee that are non-voting participants. So you have direct fire department input on the committee and like the function thereof, but be non-voting. And then we would have to get, if we decide to do that, we would have to get 5 members. If you guys want to make a case for more members, then that's great. The reason I went with 5 is so that we only have to have 3 for a quorum. As we know, we've struggled with getting a quorum together. And I'll let you know a little bit of my frustration with this is that, we wrote this good neighbor policy in January.
Yes, and how long has it
And
taken?
here we are 11 months later and we still haven't voted on that. So for those reasons, I'd just like to get, at least have 3 as a quorum. You'll have input from either Lindsay Reed or Captain Romos, who I would, want on that committee. And one of the 2 could be on there to kind of give a little bit of direction. And since Captain Romo is the one that gives us our community assessment anyways, he's got his ear to the ground as far as what needs to take place for Firewise. I just want to restate what he said. In order for us to become Firewise, we just have to have a community meeting. We have to organize a committee and we have to have 2, outreach meetings within the community. If we satisfy those 4 things, everything that we wrote in the defensible space ordinance pertains to Firewise. We're really 90% there. We just need to finish that. So we're there and we didn't even know it. A year ago, we couldn't even say the word Firewise
No,
in the community without there being a public,
Yeah, there were questions about size we discussed, but I think, yes, we're in the category that this would work according to their guidelines.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. I'll just kind of follow that up with the other order of business is I think we need to approve the good neighbor policy. There may be some indemnification clause that Mark may want to help us out with. I think we're mostly there with the language, but Mark, if you have something already written.
Are we moving on to that?
Yeah, that would be the next agenda item. So let's move on to that.
Okay, because just really quick on the committee itself, I mean, we all sort of serve at the pleasure of the mayor.
Yeah.
And so, whatever the mayor and the manager and council wants to see in terms of the Firewise, the next phase or standing up an entirely new committee in order to be Firewise compliant. If that's the direction, and they ask the resort to participate, we certainly will.
Jake, do you have anything to add to that?
I think, again, to reiterate what Chief Vance has said, we thank the committee for the time. You guys have put in a lot of work over the years to get where we are now. It feels very much like we're moving into the PR phase. I personally would like to see Lindsay not only hit 100 inspections next year, but per the DSO we have several hundred that have to get done before we even think about, next phases. So it's really all going to be about the next couple of years of getting more people engaged to certify their lots, figuring out where that process and Captain Romo's team is going to have to engage as the volume of material comes up. Those are the things that we're embarking upon now. Okay, it's not really going to take tweaking a DSO or anything major like that. It's really community outreach and, hey, we're doing Firewise. And from all the feedback I think I've heard, here at this committee and the council level, what was done is working. We are getting residents the ability to keep and get insurance, which was the biggest goal that we had. And so, again, thank you all for all the work you put in. We would really like to just get to that next phase. And I think that the feeling is, since we have a resource here in Captain Romo, do the assessment, do the committee meetings that we have to become Firewise, and then advertise the heck out of that. As we're applying for Firewise, as we get it, these need to be things that are in all of our flyers, in Taos News, just to let our residents know that, hey, this is a thing, it's happening, please get on board with us.
I agree.
Mark, were you continuing with your comments on
Good
that?
neighbor.
Or,
No, if we're going to good neighbor, I do have
Okay.
some.
okay, so let's go on next agenda item, good neighbor. So we've all provided input. If you have extra, go ahead. But I know that Lindsay has, created new changes. So whatever you'd like to add, or anybody after Mark.
I'll just be transparent. I got to look at this about an hour ago. And I realize it's been probably in an inbox somewhere for quite some time, but quick question, did village council review this?
Again,
Not
Okay,
yet, no. We're gonna
Okay.
send it to.
okay, that makes it a lot more straightforward, because there's a couple, there's lawyer things.
Yeah.
Right. You've got it as set up as grantor grantee, and that's for essentially transferring a property, right? This needs to be a license. And that was kind of the tip off. I'm like, I don't think Nan Winter saw this yet. So no worries at all. But well done. But there's a couple other things, and so I don't want to make this meeting go any longer than we need to. I could kind of talk about just a few areas we're going to see if the committee kind of agrees. And then I can probably get some language to you, Lindsay, and then that can go to council for their, approval and that kind of thing, so that we can get to a final agreement. But yeah, okay. So with that said, on the, and apologies, I'm on my phone here. I normally print things out, but I just moved my office and.
what I think you're saying is not bad for knuckle draggers.
No, it's very good. Very good. Yeah, no, no, it's good. So the license, it should be a license that you can revoke sort of
Okay.
as you see fit, right? And grantor grantee that's a transfer of a right language, and no big deal. And then for contractors, there ought to be something in there where contractors show their proof of insurance, and before any
True.
kind
I
of
didn't
license or
think about
permit to do this is
Yeah.
granted. The indemnification that Chief Vance mentioned, there's just, I'll just back up quickly, right? If you're a property owner with a home, and then you've got a lot next door to you that's a mess, and you want to go clean it up, right? The property owner that's, absentee or what have you, they still own the property. And so there are non-delegable duties as that property owner. You just can't get rid of it, the risk. And so we need to deal with that in terms of making sure that the property owner, I'll just continue to refer to it as the absentee property owner, so that they're not going to let somebody else come on their property if they are at risk. Okay. And you owe these duties no matter what a piece of paper says. And so, for instance, I like to use the example of like a sinkhole or a mine shaft, right? You have no idea, but the absentee owner doesn't know if it's there or not. Doesn't matter. Okay. And so then somebody goes onto the property with the best intentions, right, to clean it up, and they fall down the mine shaft. As the property owner, that's still your responsibility. And so we can deal with this through a document, but what I don't want to see happen is, you have people manufacturing lawsuits and things like that out there, because at the end of the day, the absentee owner may not really care what happens, but the property owner next door with the home cares a great deal, enough to go onto this person's property and cleaning portions of it. So it really is benefiting the other property, and the risks ought to reflect that. And so the liability, it's pretty simple. I can assist, but Miss Winter can certainly get there, but I'll give you enough to at least start the conversation with her. And then just the other things are like that. There's not, you don't want to have somebody do work on your land and then turn around and claim, well, you actually ought to pay me for that, and then they file a lien. Typically, that, even in this case, that would be what's called a spurious lien, and you're in big trouble if you file those. But it's still the fact that you went on the other person's property and did work on it. So we just want to call that out in the agreement, just to make it perfectly clear, that then you don't have people out there deciding, yeah, I really don't like this neighbor very much. I think I'm going to try to, put a lien on their property just for fun. And again, I'm trained to think worst case scenario. I know some of this, I know there's not mine shafts and sinkholes, but you'd be surprised. And so, and of course, again, being totally transparent, right? You may know what's on your acre of property. The resort's got thousands of acres, we don't know every single little thing on every single piece of property, and we couldn't. And so just want to make sure that this agreement gets to the point where it's something that works for everybody, that everybody, including the resort, can feel good about signing. So that if somebody that's adjacent wants to come on the property and clean it up, they can do so.
So Mark, this is something where we really do have to, as a committee, turn it over to council in the lawyer.
I really do think so, yeah. It's just to get,
Something we can make a recommendation to pass what we have with your recommendations for those specific items onto legal.
yeah, I think we can do that. So if you want, let me just, so that it's in the record. Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned most everything. So there would be a representation, or there would be this idea of, as is, right? You're coming onto the property. The property owner doesn't pretend to know every single little thing about the property, and there may be dangers. Obviously, things like, if you're supposed to be there for taking, dead, down, diseased out of there, all of that is on the contractor or whomever is on the property. They have a duty to do that work safely and that kind of thing. And so injuries that they caused to themselves or whomever by doing the work that they're there to do, that's on them, right? Not on the property owner. And I think everybody would agree to that.
Yeah. That needs to be stated.
Yeah, so we want to put that in there. And then just on the sort of the liability, again, it's an indemnification. So that if the property owner whose property is being cleaned up, is being sued, okay, the contractor that was doing the work has the insurance in place to indemnify the property owner. And then it's just, because many people on the resort properties are insured. Many people on vacant land, you don't carry insurance on vacant land. And so there isn't another insurance company to fight with the contractor's insurance company. So, but if there is, we want to just make it sure that in all cases, the contractors is primary. They're in first position. They cause the damage. They're the ones that respond to the injury. And then finally, just to make it very clear in the agreement, that it is a temporary permission. It's a temporary license that you can revoke at any time. And that kind of dovetails a little bit with the ideas of the lien, and you're not there creating a property interest yourself by the work you did on the property.
We addressed that a little bit, and it was with 15 days notice, but if you started work on my property and I wanted you to stop tomorrow, I think you should have the right to stop the work at any point. Just as long as you give written notice.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be written notice as good as an email. You'd like to think that the two parties are aware of each other, know who they are and how to contact each other and that kind of thing. I think that should all be part of the agreement.
Yeah, text, email.
Probably
No
email.
phone calls.
Yeah, I mean, probably email.
Not text.
Yeah, because text is hard to kind of
The
prove up.
capture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, with those things into the agreement, I think we could come out with something that neighbors can use in this instance.
So do we need a motion to pass the good neighbor policy up to legal with Mark Manley's recommendations of the as-is language for the worker being responsible for the work being done and not the property owner, the contractor indemnification and proof of insurance for anybody who would work on that property, and the temporary license that the license being temporary, not permanent stake or anything like that, and to have written notification, email at a minimum for termination of the agreement.
And
Yeah.
then, yes, and then indemnification.
So we make. a
So,
motion
yeah, so that was,
all the-
He has some input.
Yeah.
There's just a couple ways to make the motion, because there's some technical points that Mr. Manley's trying to raise here. You could make the motion with a summary like that, or you could simply make the motion to include notes from Mr. Manley to
That's
be
what I
followed
was
up in an
gonna
email.
ask.
Because there's some language here that I don't think any of us wanna
No.
sure.
fry our hand at as lay people, so. If there is support from the committee to do that, I would recommend somebody make the motion to include Mr. Manley's notes to forward this on to village legal counsel for review.
And I will just simply, promise to everybody that it's all what I spoke of, which is in front of me.
Yeah.
So I will just turn this into a
Okay.
simple email and get it to Lindsay, and then that can go to Miss Winter.
I make a motion.
Could
Can we
I,
do
could I ask a question before we ask for?
that? Yeah.
Insurance is a big word, and just to clarify, to make sure everybody's on the same page, are you talking about workers' comp insurance or some other form of insurance that
It would
the
be-
contractor has to have?
Yeah, it would be commercial general liability and workers' comp insurance for
Okay,
anybody. What, yeah. So
So
it would
that
be, it would
needs-
be the typical insurance that anybody, if you simply hired them to come onto your property, if you're using due diligence and good business practice, you would require this of the contractor. And that, all I'm saying is that that's what it should be. If we have a situation, and I don't know if this is where you were going, Mike, but if you have the situation where it's just your neighbor and your neighbor wants to get some exercise by cleaning up your property, the property next door, and they're not, that one,
Still different. But the third party contractor is what we're talking about, I guess.
the third party contractor is what I was talking about in terms of commercial general liability and workers' comp insurance. If we are talking about, if we do anticipate, like I said, just the neighbor coming over with their own chainsaw, I mean, again, I'm
I
just
think
kind
there
of,
is a fair amount of that.
yeah, I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head, right? But I mean, where this becomes an issue is, you go next door, you do something dumb and a tree falls on you, right? And then your insurance, you're underinsured medically or whatever it is. And then you're all of a sudden put yourself in a position where you're trying to find insurance to cover your medical bills because all you were trying to do is clean up the neighbor's yard. I don't know what the answer is to that.
That's gonna be a very challenging thing to indemnify property.
No question. So,
We can bring that up to our legal and pass that on as a.
yeah, I mean, that would be, what do you do if the person that lives next door wants to clean up your lot and you're saying, yeah, I'd love to have them do that, but they get injured on your property, that, I mean, the lawyer for the guy that got, that did something stupid and got hurt is gonna do what he's supposed to do for his client, which is try to put the best foot forward. So he's gonna make all the arguments, well, yeah, it was benefiting my house, but it was also benefiting this guy's lot because he was gonna have to clean it up and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you're in this lawsuit and everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else. So, and I know that there's language in this agreement where it says, hey, the village is not part of this, right? Yeah. And I'm sure Ms. Winter is gonna make sure that language is strong. But boy, I don't know about where that scenario. With a contractor and insurance in place and all that, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But honestly, and like you said, you think there may be a few of these, right? Where somebody just wants to, maybe they've got their own, skid steer or something. I don't know, right? And they want to just go on the property. It's definitely an issue.
Is there a way we could set it up that, in this good neighbor policy, word it the way it is and set up in there, God, how do I want to phrase this? That if you go over and you don't have the contractor, or if he gets in touch with his neighbor and wants to clean it up, the neighbor gets told, you better have somebody who's insured, has a license, or do it at your own risk, because we're not gonna get involved.
Yeah, no, it still.
I'm not sure how to phrase it.
Right, no, I understand what you're asking, and it still comes down to whether or not, again, if you go back to worst case scenario, right? And the person's personal insurance doesn't cover their injuries,
Mhm.
right? And you've got, a family with kids, and all of a sudden, the earner, or one of the two earners,
Yeah.
is now can't earn anymore. And next thing you know, the family's doing everything it possibly can to help the person that was injured medically and to continue to live their lives and that kind of thing. You're gonna go after anybody you can in that situation. It
Yeah, yeah.
always works out that way. So that's the question. Are you really gonna say yes to letting, your neighbor come over with their own chainsaw? I don't know.
I wouldn't.
I would.
Yeah, I just, and I don't know how we do that, because like I said, as the property owner, you have there are certain duties you have as a property owner. You cannot transfer the risk.
Mhm.
In that situation, you could put language in to say, okay, dead, down, diseased, that's what you get to work on. That's it. And you have to do it reasonably and responsibly and without any negligence. And if you do it with negligence, that's on you. I can see contractually putting that together in a document and it probably working, right?
Mhm.
But again, it's what is the defect in the property that you may not be aware of that then causes the injury, right?
Mhm.
Again, I go back to sinkhole, mine shaft, those kind of things. And I'm not pulling those out of the air. That's like in case law, you learn as a law student, right? That stuff happened. It takes hundreds of years, but case law, every weird thing possible ultimately happens. And so that those kind of things could happen, but so those are pretty obvious, and you probably ought to know if you got a sinkhole or a mine shaft on your property. Okay, fine. But is a tree that was beetle infested and completely rotten in the core, and it falls on the guy, and he thought it was a dead tree, but that it wasn't completely compromised like that, and it crushes him. I have no idea where that comes out. I would challenge anywhere. They say they know that. I don't know about that. I have no idea how that would turn
The
out.
risk assessment here is entirely different than the 14-year-old with the lawnmower. Turning your neighbor loose with the
Yeah.
chainsaw.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. You're absolutely right.
Are you measuring this risk adequately?
Yeah.
And I say that as somebody who does their own chainsaw work, but having a lay person do it is
Yeah.
about like having a lay person write legal work. This is.
Yeah, I would suggest that we try to get the agreement as close as we can to something that we can use, but keep it focused on, contractors and whatnot. I don't think we want to go anywhere near, the neighbor with his own chainsaw walking next door. It's got problems.
Nonetheless, we still need the motion to pass it on to legal with
Yeah.
your marks on.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right, I make a motion that we pass the good neighbor policy on to legal with the lawyers'
Notes.
notes to Lindsay.
okay,
Pass it on to city council.
will do. So second, I guess.
Okay. Okay, Mark got second, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Mike, are you there?
We go.
He's there. I muted him because there was a lot of background noise.
Okay.
So Mike, if you're gonna speak, you need to unmute.
Okay.
She took control.
Thank you so
Sorry.
much,
Yeah.
Mike.
Sure.
Approved. Okay, very good.
Approved.
Good next
Move
step.
on.
final item, depending on time here, and we have some time, is both Lindsay and myself attended an urban wildland fire summit in Los Lunas last month. Well, October 2nd, 9:30. So I thought I would throw out to Lindsay first, you know, and a lot of this information we pick up is certainly in the agenda, but there's also networking that's going on, that you're talking to other communities and other people with the Fire Stewards Guild that have a lot of information. So Lindsay, do you have some comments or thoughts about what you picked up that would be of importance to this committee? I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah, I think honestly, just continuing to do what we're doing and, giving me and the fire department the opportunity to kind of go out and speak to other communities within the state and around the nation, honestly, and just continuing to get together and learn best practices, you know, because I mean, I'm learning a lot of things that a lot of other people aren't, and they're learning a lot of things that I'm not. I ended up kind of teaching, not kind of, I ended up teaching a workshop there on home assessments and things like that.
Oh, cool.
And it was very interesting to see everybody's takes on things. So we had somebody from Ruidoso, somebody from Los Lunas, actually. We had somebody from Santa Fe. We had a couple of other people that we were all collaborating on it for a couple of months. And it was really cool to see like how they think about things, especially in their kind of regions and biomes and things like that, and how that translates to Angel Fire, and how mostly Angel Fire kind of translates to all those places, because we got a little bit of everything up here, which was really, really interesting to learn and to kind of see that, you know, people can really look at what we're doing
the internet says. It says it's Wildfire Preparedness Act. The measure requires the state fire planning task force to develop standards for defensible spaces, and develop guidelines to certifying properties, and so wildfire prepared is what they're calling it. Supports technical technical assistance, training, and support to help local governments build their needs in this, to prevent wildfires. So those words were approved. Now, what does that mean to communities? I guess they're still in the, well, I talked to Mary Stuver, who is a regional forester. And unfortunately, she just broke her foot, so she didn't have a whole lot of time for me. But she mentioned that there is some planning going on where it was assigned to the forestry department, but now it's being moved to the construction department. And I think a lot of the efforts for implementation are going to revolve around new construction rather than retrofitting existing construction. That's all I've heard. But I think this should be an open agenda item going forward, and maybe we can get someone from the Energy, Minerals, and Natural Resource Department to give us an update in a future meeting. What does this really mean, and how could it affect us? I mean, we already have our code. We're moving ahead. We're not going to slow down, but in terms of implementation, maybe there's extra funds. I don't know.
I can say I have been in contact with a good amount of people before the bill even came out, kind of consultants on that, where they were kind of looking at RDSO and a couple of things. So I've talked to them in the past and kind of ongoing. There was a couple of them at the WUFIS conference as well. They are kind of in a gray area too, so I think it might not be incredibly relevant at this moment, going forward, but definitely as years go on, because I mean, they're looking more towards like IBHS, things like that of the home, like you're saying. But there are a couple of other things that hopefully universally can kind of fit some of our landscapes. So I don't know anything on the funding side of things, but that's what I've heard.
Okay.
It's still a
Well,
lot of way.
again, I wanted to get it on in the minutes and, on a future agenda, to continue to follow what's going on.
I just wanted to follow that up with, Captain Romo is tied in really close with the state, and anything that gets, sent down through House bills or whatever, he's usually the first to know, we're in those email chains and stuff. But I did want to take the opportunity, Mike, if it's appropriate, can we circle back around to the other agenda item? I feel like we needed to get the vote passed on whether we were going to do the good neighbor policy or not, but kind of get back around now that we have just a few more minutes left. You asked me for a report on who had willingness to stay on the committee and who did not.
Yes, we can move ahead.
If we're going to take a vote to terminate this group and to start off new with a Firewise group, I can give you a list of names of everybody and where they stand and get a correction if I'm wrong. Are you guys okay with me?
Move ahead with
Yes.
that.
Okay. Is Martha, I understand you want to stay on, is that
I
correct?
would like to.
Okay, and
I do.
Vicky, you'd also like to stay on. Scott Schaefer, anybody speak to him directly? I understand that he may want to be out of the committee, is that correct?
His limitation, and we've gone back and forth on the timing, but he can't make afternoon meetings. And so he said he would continue to try to attend, when he could, but not to be an official member anymore.
Okay, Don Clark, it sounded like you wanted to stay on, but it is challenging for you being part-time resident, is that correct?
Yes, I think the members of the new group should be full-time residents. That's my feeling. I've had a little experience with the Firewise committee up at, I guess, Grand Lake or whatever the lake. And there's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of footwork. So I just think it would be better for people to be locally, resident or permanently resident, to be on the committee and really be efficient.
Thank you for that input. I tend to agree. We have another part-timer who is willing to stay on, but also is challenged, and that's, Dr. Hartson. He also is part-time, and I believe he wants to stay on the committee, but is also part-time. Ray Honey, anybody spoke to him? Any interest in serving on the committee?
I spoke with him, and for the same reasons, he's not permanent here, and he's recommended giving us a name of another party that you probably have on your list that we might want to contact.
Maybe next on my list, Mike Laverty is here in the audience with us. We had a conversation before the meeting, and he's willing to serve on the committee as well. Mark Manley and the resort, do you want to state your position?
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, like I had mentioned in the beginning, I mean, there's not a vote to be had here or anything like that. This committee and whatever committee comes next is entirely up to the two gentlemen back there. So we all serve at their pleasure. That said, if there is a new committee to come, the resort will certainly participate, whether it's me or someone else, I don't know, but the resort will participate in the committee.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mike Overby also, Mike, you've stated that you would wish to stay on the council as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm permanent there now, so.
And then Brian Lindsay is here in the crowd as well with us, and he's, before the meeting stated that he would also like to participate. So we have, you know, the pleasure of having many people who are wanting to serve on the committee. So several. I would say. Yeah, and then I would recommend that Lindsay Reed and Captain Romo serve on the committee as non-voting members.
Okay.
So maybe we can get 5 out of the 7, not including these two. These two would make 7, but either one of it or the other will be present at every fire adaptive or FireWise committee moving forward. And then at least 3 of the 5 voting members. If you guys have points of discussion, if you want to make it a bigger committee, then we're open to that as well.
I think we're having a hard time with a bigger committee because we can't seem to get the quorum.
We need to be small and.
Yeah,
Small and mighty.
small and mighty.
Are there any questions?
In that regard, this is Dave Hartson. I have enjoyed serving and will continue to participate, but as a part-time resident, I think it is fair to have the committee primarily full-time residents.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and thank you for the service to the community, Dave.
That gets us down to 6.
Okay.
Fire chief, so
Sir.
is there, as far as the next step on that item, so you're going to give those names to the mayor and they will select out of that group or what?
Yeah, the mayor and village manager are both in the meeting in the back. They stepped in about halfway throughout the meeting, and that'll be exactly our actions. We'll give the list to them and let them appoint the 5.
And I think, you know, by the same token, whenever that is done, I think the committee itself, whoever the final, it needs to select a chair and an assistant chair in the event that the chair can't be there.
Once the committee is formed, they'll select a chair and a vice chair between the committee. And that won't be Lindsay Reed or Captain Romo. Since they're village employees, we just feel like this is a committee driven by residents.
Very good. Any other final items? We have 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Okay, officially, the meeting is
Dave
adjourned.
Hartson has a question. He's on the phone.
Yes, the weather, from what I can tell, has remained reasonably dry. Are there still fire break teams working, or is that going to be put off now until next spring?
What fire break teams are you referring to?
He's probably calling control bird.
Is that the grant, the $10 million grant has not been approved yet?
Watershed line. The Cimarron Watershed Alliance grant.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah, I spoke to Rick, this past week. They've had some funding, trouble. I think they put out several hundreds of thousands of dollars and haven't been reimbursed yet. So they're working on reimbursement from phase one of the grant. But it's his full intention to continue that work if he can work out the funding portion. The phase two part of the grant with the, fire evacuation routes and so forth has not begun. They're trying to get through the first phase before they start, second phase.
And what is the status of work inside the village that I believe there was a grant for also?
Did we get that grant?
That's it. Phase two of the,
That's, yeah,
or the egress portion of it.
Yeah.
Phase two is the fire evacuation routes. That's what I was just referring to.
Okay.
The
Okay,
first one
thanks
though,
for-
Dave, he's working with landowners on the perimeter of Angel Fire, inside of Angel Fire. I haven't had him talk to me about that, but I know that last time I was up around there, there's some work being done, so.
All right, thank you for the information.
Okay, I can't see anyone's hand. So if we have all the comments in, we'll officially adjourn the meeting again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
thank you.
Off the record.